The recording ended and I didn't actually notice, but what happened was uh, I just kind of stayed in the corner and played a game on my phone, and then she came back and she fell asleep with you, and she was drunk, and she told you that she was surprised that you actually managed to come out, and you don't know how you feel about it. But that sums that up. It's a little afternoon on a muggy Saturday. Your mother has come over for a surprise visit, claiming loudly that she doesn't see you enough, so she decided to invite herself over. As you converse, she walks around your place, and you get the distinct impression that you're being inspected. So what's going on with you lately? She asked abruptly, taken that taken something aback by this left fielder. You tell her you're not sure what she means. She repeats the question, saying that you haven't seemed like yourself lately. Sorry, I had to get a drink. She gestures to the dirty dishes. The question The dirty dishes piled in the sink. It notes the fact that you haven't called or visited in a while. Your whatever that word is, reticence only seems to spur her on more. She presses you, asking if you're having problems at work or with Alex, and you're beginning to feel increasingly battered by her sudden, well-meaning but overwhelming inquisition. Under her questions, you become increasingly uncomfortable. You want to be able to explain to her how you feel, how you've been feeling. But the truth is, you're not sure. You're not really sure yourself. Nothing horrific has happened, or at work, or with your significant other, or friends, or anything like that. But all the same, you can't deny that lately you've been just, oh my god, you've just been felt drained, and as though you're not quite sure, you're not really here. You wish that you wish you could tell your mother these things, but she hasn't been approachable about negative emotions in the past. She is the kind of person who holds the opinion that the solution to any problem is to simply try harder and maintain a very positive attitude. A stance that has reared its head in past conversations when you've begun to explore the subject with her. You know she's unlikely to be understanding that, and you feel the energy drain out of you when you imagine what would happen if you managed to blurt out everything you're feeling. What do you do? Try to be honest with her anyway. Tell her that everything is fine and thank her for asking. Change the subject. Try to be honest with her. Honesty is the best thing when it comes to this kind of stuff. You attempt to tell your mother how you feel, despite initial misgivings that you have about doing so. Finding the right words to tell her you're feeling you're feeling feels like trying to untangle Christmas lights, searching for the dead bulb in the cluttered mess. She watches you initially and audibly sighs before you can clearly articulate everything. Unfortunately, she reacts predictably. An attitude like that won't get you anywhere. You need to work harder and at getting what you want instead of sitting around feeling sad about it. Nothing good will happen unless you make it happen. She isn't angry or spiteful as she tells you this. You try to explain that it's not a matter of that, but you can tell that you're not going anywhere. The frustration chokes the words out in your throat, and you won't, and you can, you give up on trying to push the subject further. You know she's giving you the advice that makes sense to her, and genuinely wants to hear and wants the best for you. However, she doesn't understand that it's not as simple as somehow deciding to be positive or work harder. It's that those things aren't viable options because of these feelings. You accept that you accept your defeat, and the conversation drifts to other subjects. She leaves after chiding on you to call her more often and take better care of yourself. You sigh heavily as you close the door behind her. Spend the next few hours laying in bed staring at the ceiling. You're very depressed. You spend a large amount of time sleeping and hating. Alright, so it's the same stuff. I don't know what that picture is. It looks a little creepy. It's a lazy Sunday morning. You're idly clicking around online and your phone rings. Sam, a coworker of yours that you're friendly with, asks you how you are and makes hurried small talk with you. You typically only ever talk to him on the phone when one of you needs a shift covered, so it's slightly awkward. You're waiting in anticipation for him to ask you to come in on short notice when he veers the conversation in a completely different direction. How do you feel about cats? He asks. Mine had kittens a few weeks ago, and I'm having an awfully hard time finding a home for the last one of the litter. You don't have any pets, right? It takes you a moment to process this new information, and you're caught off guard as he begins to earnestly try to sell you on the idea of taking the last kitten off his hands. It's not something that you've had specifically considered before, but he seems fairly insistent. She's a real sweetheart, really loves people. She's got all her shots already taken care of, and the vet said she's healthy as a horse. I can bring her over by your place tonight if you're interested. You look around your apartment and try to picture a cat in it as he continues to tell you about how cute she is. You tell him that this is all kind of sudden, and that you don't have anything for the kitten set up here. Oh, don't worry about that. I can bring over a litter box and food and all of that, since you'd really be helping me out of a fix. It's the least I could do. I just don't want to have to put her in a shelter. You can't help but feel like you're being guilt tripped, but you decide to give it some serious consideration. It does get awfully lonely around your apartment, and it might feel less empty with a cat around. However, since you've been feeling so down, it might not be a good idea to take on the responsibility of a cat, even if they are fairly low maintenance. Before I even read these, having an animal is very helpful in a situation like this, because like dogs, you can play with them. That gives you something to do, go outside, play, all that kind of stuff. And having a cat can help you relax, and it does give you some companionship with something if you're living alone. So I'm not even gonna I'll read them for you guys, but I'm not gonna choose them. I'm gonna become a cat owner, because you could use companionship. Decline, you're not in a good enough place to be taking on a responsibility right now. Decline, you don't like cats. I personally don't like cats. I mean, I don't mind them, but I prefer dogs, but I'll become a cat owner. Alright, well, I'm gonna stop this here and pick right back up right away. So, see you guys.